Hello and welcome to the Westcoast and Altaro webinar. My name is Martin Smith, and basically I look after all good things Azure at Westcoast. Whether it's from a sales side, technical, or commercial aspect, basically I can help you, or even the entire cloud team can help you. So if you do need to contact me at any point, then my email address is martin.smith@westcoastcloud.co.uk, or you can contact the wider CSP team at csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk. And today is all around Altaro. And where we see the Azure backup opportunity here is what's known as a tiptoe into the cloud. You do get a lot of customers who are either hesitant or just looking at cloud and not really diving in. And backup is the perfect opportunity to get people onto the cloud and using Azure and moving forward with a cloud first mentality. But today is all about Altaro and the backup and DR opportunities there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Keith at Altaro, and he's going to go through all the amazing things that they can do on the Altaro side. So over to you, Keith.
Thank you, Martin, and welcome. My name is Keith Joseph. I'm a channel manager for Altaro Software, and I'm today going to take you through the product, where we fit in the marketplace, and the commercials behind what we could potentially offer you as an organisation. But taking a step back, what we're here to talk about today is backup. Backup is one of those subjects that sits within everybody's portfolio. It's very important, but the importance is lost just from the sheer timescales that backup's been available in the marketplace. Backup is so important that the relationship with Westcoast is about reinforcing this messaging to you. But the best way of actually describing backup is sometimes in cartoon form, where if you look at any of the trade press, is that you constantly see cartoons that are pushing out about recovery, about backup, and how unimportant it is. Even to the point where you have Dilbert making the jokes about we need no stinking backup. But backup is important, and it's something that needs to be reinforced into you as organisations, but also into your customer base. The reason being is that backup is the last line of defence for for the organisations that you're selling to. To try and give you an analogy of this, if you look at the screen in front of you, on the right hand side, there is a weapon system. It's a Gatling gun. It's 175-year-old technology that the armed forces still use today. And if you look at defending ships, it's the primary last line of defence for a ship. So they have their multi-billion-pound picket frigates, the defending aircraft carriers and bits and bobs, but they're still relying on an updated 175-year-old technology to defend their ships. And you have to look at backup as the same mechanism for your customers as well. It is the last line of defence from users' mistakes, from the outside world, from data loss, system issues. You have all this expensive protection that you put up front and that you'll sell them, that you will manage for them on their behalf. But at the end of the day, if things go wrong, and things will go wrong, you still need the last line of defence, and that last line of defence is backup. But it does so much more, and when you're considering it, it is about data security, it's about retention policies. You can read the slides in front of you. Backup offers so much more, but you have to manage that into what you get from your backup as a long-term strategy. So is it simple to manage? Is it flexible to use? Is there a roadmap for where the product is going, and how we're actually progressing and moving things forward? So you have to take these into consideration when you are looking at your backup strategy, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So who's Altaro? Well, Altaro is we're a Maltese company, so we're based within the EU. We're not from any of the non-EU countries, but we as an organisation, we run to core values, and we have 4 simple core values, which is everything that we are designed to do is easy. You put our product in, it takes 15 minutes before your first backup's done. Everything is about outstanding support, to the point where we don't outsource our support to anybody. It's all done in-house. It's very simple to operate. It's very quick. It's very efficient. It is industry leading to go through. We market in a slightly different manner. We do through educational marketing as opposed to banners or putting big signs up at trade shows where we're supporting the airports, putting signs on taxis and that sort of nature. We're doing it through educational. And if you look at our website and go through the marketing section, the blogs that are outstanding. And we also core value is about empowering the channel and making sure that we actually do everything that's channel friendly and from that sort of nature. Just from a milestone standpoint, we have 40,000 plus customers worldwide. We have 7,000 plus partners, and we have a subscription program that is growing continuously, and we're award winning. So as you can see there's a few awards that we've won. So that's Altaro in a nutshell. The primary market, though, that we cover is end users of 1,000 seat below, multiple sites, multiple tenured. So it fits very nicely within that subscription modeling that we're talking about. So without further ado, let's actually look at the product and what the product does. So as I've sort of alluded to, everything is designed to be installed within 15 minutes, easy to deploy, easy to use. It is based around Hyper-V or VM backups, so that's the primary market, and it is for mid-market to small businesses that we aim the product at. However, the product is not limited to that marketplace. It has enterprise class functionality, so whether that be deduplication, CDP, offsite replication, file and exchange, item level restore, it will scale and it will give you everything that you need as an organization to actually manage your backups on behalf of your customer, but will give you the features of a lot more pricier models, but aimed squarely at the SMB marketplace. The great thing is that from the simplicity standpoint, it is all just install next, and you're up and running. So it can be done remotely. And the value of the product is what I will cover shortly, but it is unbeatable value. What that means to you, though, it means you can actually make the potential to make some really good revenue streams. And as I touched on earlier, you're looking at outstanding support. We pick calls up in less than 30 seconds. We have no gatekeepers. You have two levels of support with Altaro. You either are supported or you're not. So a very, very simple strategy. Even to the point, built into the product, there is a chat box where you can get straight through. There's no gatekeepers, straight through to an engineer. And as I alluded to, it is all based around Hyper-V and VMware. Just as a point of note, we are testing 6.7 for VMware at the moment. That will be out in the next couple of weeks. So we're constantly striving to keep up with the marketplace, constantly striving to keep up with everything that's happening within the marketplace. One thing I would allude to say, though, is that if you're running or your customers are running the free version of ESXi, we cannot support this. The reason being is that the APIs are closed, and therefore you need to be aware of that you have to buy software essentials from VMware. That's the only mechanism for backing it up. So that's just a point of interest. It's a way of taking the free products and actually commoditizing it on behalf of VMware. Other than that, though, all products are supported completely within the product sets that they offer. From a simplicity standpoint, though, you can see everything is very, very clean and crisp. You have the navigation dashboard on the left-hand side. You have the status of where you are with the backups within the system, and then we run a complete traffic light system to what's going on with the VMs that are under your management on behalf of your end users. So green means good, amber means there's a potential problem, and then red means there is a problem. What does that mean to you? It actually means that you can be proactive to your customers, because this is real time, hooked straight into your customers. It is managed via your support center. It is managed by you for your customers. It gives you some great opportunities to earn money. The Cloud Management Console, unlike other competitors of ours, is free. If you sign up, you will get the Cloud Management Console for free. It is completely managed. There is no Altaro has no integration into it other than we do account for VMs that you're backing up as part of the subscription model. Other than that, it's a completely siloed environment for you and your customers. The great thing, it is a great value add and a great tool for you to have. With all that in mind, why as a reseller should you be interested in the product, and how can it actually add value to your organization? So first and foremost, we're talking about what we call the MSP program. Actually, it's a managed subscription program, or sometimes it's called a subscription business model. The the way of positioning it is that you have two ways of buying the products, and we'll cover this shortly. You can either buy perpetual, you can buy subscription. Whichever way, you're buying the same product. It's just the mechanism that you're buying it from. One is you buy up front, one is you buy yearly. What that does, it gives you some flexibility within the program, and this is really what we're going to cover off now and sort of go through with the products. So with that in mind, as I said, this is a monthly subscription product. The great thing is that it gives you a low monthly entry point. It is charged per VM as opposed to perpetual, which is charged per host. It's pay as you go. So therefore there's no upfront costs, no upfront usages. There is no risk. You need to stop. You tell Westcoast, they will stop the program for you. The great thing is you're not tied up into contracts. You're not tied up into yearly, 2 yearly, 3 yearly operations contracts. You just basically just go month to month, and then you go from there. But what it also means is that you always have the access to the latest and the greatest version of our software. So it's always a top line product. So in our case, it's Unlimited Plus, and it gives you all of the features. It gives you everything that you need from that. All of that is managed via the CMC that I've covered. So therefore, you get multiple additional layers and opportunities that come through the subscription modeling. So just to sort of recap, it's a great recurring revenue. You're always getting the latest features from us. We integrate into RMMs. So what that means is that we integrate at the moment straight into LabTech. There are additional ones coming through, like LabTech is ConnectWise, sorry. The APIs are open, so you can integrate them as many as you like. We've published them through the support pages. You leverage the latest technologies from us. For example, our deduplication engine can actually save you anything between sort of anything as an average of 64% disk savings. The great thing is that actually saves your customers money long term, or actually it allows you to use less disk when you're backing up on behalf of your customers, so therefore you're actually saving on your cost base. So there's many different ways that you can attack this and move this forward. So, as a partner, why would you be looking at it? Well, like anything, the primary driver for all organizations is revenue. How can this aid your revenue stream? How can this actually make you money? So, you break this down effectively with Altaro into 4 revenue streams that you can earn from. You can earn from the licensing, so that's the margin that you earn from licensing the product, and there's 2 potential mechanisms for earning margin. There is perpetual, which is the traditional way of selling backup solutions, and then there's the monthly subscription. And what I'll do is I'll go through where you position the 2 and how you'd make money. There's the managed services option that is actually handled via the CMC. The great thing is that when we cover this off, as you'll see that there's margin to be made on that. There's disaster recovery. Again, it's leveraging Azure, the offsite server, and then there is storage. And the reason there is storage is that wherever there's data, there has to be disk, and therefore you're making money on the disk. So let's sort of look at where you can make your margins. So the difference between the perpetual and the subscription is perpetual is done per host. The subscription is done per VM. There's the 2 primary drivers between the 2. If you look at the model, and when we're looking at MSP modeling, you look at this over an extended period. So in this case, I've looked at this over a 3-year period. You could look at this over a 5-year period. You have to do what's right for your customers. You have to do, when you're doing the maths, you look it through. The orange line you'll see in this particular example is for a single server with 2 VMs that are installed. So this could be, for example, a small school, a junior school, an infant school, and the associated product that goes in. And then the blue line is the subscription modeling, the MSP pricing that we talked about. The pricing for our products you can get straight from the Westcoast guys, and they will happily supply you with what you need to do for the subscription processes. But an average sellout for our per VM on the subscription modeling, we're looking at around about £12 per VM. So I've used that model as part of this example, and we've got 2 more examples to show you where there's potential revenues to be made. Now this is a very simple model. It's a case of you sell our perpetual model for £450. That's income at January. You then have a renewal at January next year. You have an additional spike of revenue that comes through to go through, and then you have no more revenue until you get to January the following year, which you get another maintenance renewal, then off you go again. Which is fine, that works per customer if the customer can afford to buy the product in the first place. On the subscription model, as you can see with the blue line, is that every month you're adding additional revenues into the stream. So month one, in this case, it's £24 that you're coming in. Then the following month, that means you've earned £48, and you go up as you go through. Then what happens is by the time you get to towards the end of the second year, your revenue stream for the subscription model actually now starts to outstrip the revenue that you've had in. The delta would be is that in this example is that the £12 will give you a margin of 200%. The potential margin for the perpetual is around about 30%. So if you split that out over a 3-year period, you'll see actually over that period you'll earn a lot more margin over the period. And as a business owner, that's actually what you're looking at. You're looking for that reoccurring monthly revenue to come in, but at good margins. Now, where it becomes very interesting is when you actually start looking at the higher densities of VMs per server. So with the perpetual model, which is now in green, you'll see that actually it still stays exactly the same. So it's the £450, and then uplift at January year 2, January year 3. It's the uplift that comes through. What you'll now see is that the revenues that now come in for that server for MSP now accelerates through to round about 2,600 over a 3-year period. But the margin by the time you get to September, October time is actually outstripped the potential of the perpetual sale that's coming in for the whole product. So again, you're still making 200% margin, again based on the £12 per VM. But the thing is that over a 3-year period, you're making a lot more margin. As you can see in this example, you're making round about, just on selling 6 VMs to a single server to a single customer over a 3-year period, you're making about £1,600, £1,700 based on a £12 sellout. Now, you may adjust accordingly as you need to. So the great thing is that for your smaller customers, it now becomes a very, very interesting, because you're moving on to the subscription modeling and you're doing what needs to be done. What happens if you're then doing a project is you then start to look at if you've got a good accountant that works for end users, he looks at the 3-year costings or the 5 years costings. What at that point you need to look at is then potentially maybe switching back to the perpetual model, just because if you've got, as you can see in this example, 5 servers with 6 VMs, the costings over a 3-year period now get to about £13,000 as opposed to just shy of £4,000 for the perpetual model. You'll get a good accountant will actually work it out. What I'm trying to say with this is that you need to cut your cloth according to the project that you're if you can get away with it, fantastic. That's a great margin opportunity, because that would actually net you in over a 3-year period about £10,000 margin. But you need to make sure that if you've got a savvy end user, that you have the option in your kit bag. So not only can you sell subscription, at times you can sell perpetual. The great thing is that it's still not limited you to some of the other value-added services that come through, and that's what I'm just going to cover on now. But just to recap over, if you look at the margin potentials that go through, you're looking at a single server, 2 VMs, you're looking at a margin around about £500 over 3 years. If you're looking at 1 server, 6 VMs, you're looking at about £1,700. And then if you've got 5 servers, 6 VMs per customer, it's potentially a new install. Look at it as a project and do the maths with the customer. You may need to go back to the perpetual. And all of this is managed via the CMC. So the great thing is that this is where you get your managed services that come through, and as I've touched on earlier on, it's a straight traffic light system that you run through. The great thing is that, as you'll see on the bottom left hand side of the CMC console, you see your VMs that have been backed up continuously, and you can pull reports from it. So everything is multi-tenant, so that it will give you everything you need to do. The guys from Westcoast can talk you through, get you an account up and running, so you can actually trial this and test it as and when you need. And as I said, it's integrated straight into your RRM situation. So if you look at that just from the headline figures, multi-tenancy, backup templates, backup restores can be done remotely, real time, so you have every possibility to manage this remotely. One of the things that also the CMC now gives you, it gives you the ability to look at managed services. Now, managed services is an interesting one. You're looking at there's various different ways. What the CMC gives you though is the ability to look at doing this free of charge. So we have customers that are charging this out at around about £200 a server per year. Now your contracts will devise and sort of go through as needed. So you've just got to sort of decide where it goes and how it goes from there. But the CMC gives you the access to allow you to charge for managed services, and we can manage that. The great thing is it's free, so that's 100% margin for you as an organization. Where we're also taking the product to now as well is that we're going to add additional value-added services. So you can start looking with Altaro at disaster recovery as a service. So as it stands today, we can push the second line back up straight into Azure, or we have a piece of code called the offsite server that again is free of charge for you. Talk to the Westcoast guys; they will talk you through how you can look at disaster recovery. Disaster recovery is probably where we are taking the product moving forward. So, and the primary driver is going to be Azure, but the nice easy way of doing that is it's very, very simple to set up. All you need is an Azure storage account, which the guys from Westcoast can set up. It's a click within the product, so you just buy blob storage, you click to push it through, and it's very, very simple. It's very, very easy steps. So as I alluded to right from the start, it's that simple. Next. In this case, you're looking at on-site backup and then off into Azure. It's so simple to the point, as you can see here. All you do is you put the key in, you verify that the key is good. If you need to modify, you modify it, you test the connection. If you're good to go, you hit finish and you're actually working. We've made it that simple for you. You can either have one big blob storage account from Azure, or you can have multiple storage accounts. The choice is yours. Again, talk to the guys at Westcoast. They will be able to help you out as needed. So as I said, so you have all that ability to do that. The great thing is that we do have the ability to give you best practices. So if you go onto our customer website, go onto our support website, that will give you everything you need for showing you how to do that. Where we're taking the product to going forward from that simple backing up out into the cloud is that we'll actually allow you to do a lot more. So we're working on at the moment is replication. So we will be able to actually boot VMs up within Azure. We'll be able to do a lot more operational actions within Azure. What that will do, that will minimize your RTOs, and everybody that's dealt with backup will know where that's coming from. And then that is the first stage, and what that will then lead to is disaster recovery as a service. Disaster recovery as a service is in test at the moment. We're anticipating it will be out mid H2. That will mean the fact that everything will be able to fail straight across from your primary customer site into your Azure instance, and then fire up and be able to run through. There's a lot more features and functionalities that will go through where it'll be very, very simple, very, very easy to test. Again, as more information becomes available, the guys from Westcoast will push that through for you. And as I alluded to before, wherever there's data, there is storage. Make sure you sell data storage. The primary way that we always work is we always back up locally first, and then we will offload into Azure secondary. So make sure that you're selling NAS, SAN into your customers to make sure they get the best experience that's going through. So just to recap, if you look at this example, if you take a single server 6 VMs, you're making about £1,700 margin. You then could be making £600 for managed service for that server over a 3-year period. Maybe then storage, maybe then disaster recovery. So you're looking at that single server could net you £2,500 worth of margin over a 3-year period. That is margin to you as an organisation. So although you look at us and you think it's an SMB product, it is actually very margin rich if you look at the complete overview of the whole product. So where are we going to next? Well, as I've said, we have an interesting roadmap. I've just covered off the offsite locations, so that's coming out the end of Q2. We have replication that's built into that as well. We have disaster recovery that's Q3/Q4. So that's the headlines for the main product. We are also in the process of developing Office 365 email backup straight into Azure. We are looking at endpoint file backup that is straight into Azure. We will have physical server support that will go. Now, the physical server is going to be slightly different because it's going to be P2V, so you will back up physical, you restore to virtual. Again, that will go into the cloud, so again, it'll go into Azure and will be sorted out for you. And then we're looking at the end of this year, early next year, we'll actually be looking at actually be able to back up Azure VMs for you as well. So the roadmap is very, very interesting and very, very rich in the way and diverse in the way we're taking the product. The great thing is that the guys at Westcoast have all the information. They will be able to help you and actually be able to push that through for you. So on that note, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time. If there's anything you need, please email the guys at Westcoast. It's csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk. You can see the address at the bottom there. If there's any questions though, please feel free to contact us. We are here to help. That is our primary goal in life, is to make sure we're there for you. So again, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Keith. I hope you all enjoyed that, and thank you very much for listening and joining. Again, if you need any other additional information from a West Coast point of view, then the email address is csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk. Thank you all again for listening.